Welcome to the US Open. This has been a great 2 days for me. It's the first time I've ever been here. It's a bucket list item for me, so I'm so excited about not just coming to the Open, but also getting to shoot the G Master 400mm here. I just wanted to kind of talk specifically about face detect autofocus in application of sport photography, because a lot of people that are shooting Sony here, and there's quite a few, usually haven't even heard of this. And so there's a custom function you can run in the camera to turn on something called face detect autofocus. And what happens is a little white box starts floating around the face of a player, and then as soon as you engage autofocus, it turns green, and that green box means it's confirming that it's tracking. And I have been shooting here for, well, I shot 4,750 pictures yesterday. Today I probably shot 2,500 so far, and the night session hasn't even started yet. I have shot every single solitary image at the US Open in face detect autofocus and wide area autofocus. So I'm employing all 693 autofocus sensors throughout the entire viewfinder area. And then in that, I'm also telling it all I care about is the face. I don't care about anything else, just give me the face. So I've been moving around, and you can kind of see that this is the photo well. You can sit down low here. You can sit up on the second level here, but wherever you are and the closer you get to the side that you're shooting, there's a different lens kind of solution for it. But sometimes you're extremely tight, like when you're shooting on this side and you're shooting this player, it's very, very tight with the 400. And I am finding that the face detect is consistently tracking. I would say it's in the 90-95% range of tracking. Now at nighttime with a teleconverter, like I've got a 1.4 converter on this, at nighttime when somebody's wearing a visor, the face detect sometimes has difficulty working, but as long as that person's the only thing in the frame, it really tracks well, even if you don't get the face detect confirmation. So I guess my whole point of this is that the 100-400 and the 7200-2.8 have been doing a great job for me with face detect autofocus on certain sports that don't wear helmets. But with the 400 GM in particular, it is really, really working well. Even with a teleconverter at night, the face detect is still nailing things left and right all the time. And I'm oftentimes shooting a series of like maybe as many as 16, 18 frames consecutive where a player is diving towards the net and running really fast. And every frame you can see that the face detect is still functional. Not only that, but when you have face detect autofocus activated, the camera knows to ignore the net. So there's a whole new level of autofocus photography for volleyball and tennis. Because now you've got a camera that will ignore the net. And the net is the thing that's been grabbing us ever since autofocus became possible. The net is like the bane of our existence as sport shooters, because the camera just grabs that net all the time. And now the Sony is so smart that it knows to ignore the net and only look for the face. And it is just remarkable the takes that I'm getting out of the US Open. It's just insane how well it works and how sticky it is, even though I've got my sensitivity all the way to 5 on the A9. One other thing I wanted to point out that's very handy for tennis, when you're sitting kind of where we are and you're shooting all the way down court, when the player is on the right side of the court to them, they're much closer than they are when they're way deep in the right side of the court to us. And so what's really handy is this push-in or this punch-in feature that I call, where you just flick this ring on the lens and it goes 1.5x. It's basically zooming on the sensor. And so you go from a 24 megapixel image to a 10 megapixel image. But in my thinking, you're going to crop it anyway in post. So why not do it in camera? And it's really, really nice to be able to have this 600-2.8 at my fingertips, especially for React. So sometimes you want to be a little loose when you're shooting action, but when you're looking for that fist pump or like that react to a great shot or a missed shot, it's really nice to be able to flick that thing and get in tight and get that thing where it really reads faster. So it's really neat because it's never existed on a camera before to have this 1.5x electronic, you know, basically teleconverter that zooms on the sensor. I brought both the 2x converter and the 1.4 Sony converters for the E-mount with me. I did use the 2x converter way up there. I went way up high and shot down, but it was so high. I was up there with the snipers from New York Police Department. It's kind of cool. But really, the 1.4 converter is very useful. The place that I really like is the photo wells. Back behind the player there, you can see those black things. Some of those are glass, but some of them are actually empty, and you can get in there if there's room. And I found that the 400-2.8 with the 1.4 in the wells is just a really nice look. Now, sometimes you get blocked by the player that's on your side of the court because they're running around back and forth, but it's really worth it when you get that image of the ball. The ball just stays in the frame so often because it's coming at you. I did get hit once, but it didn't hurt. Last thing in sort of summation, you know, the A9 was a great camera before this thing ever existed, but it really is a true statement, I think, that the A9 is brought to a new level with the 400G Master. The autofocus system in this lens is superior to what you can do with a 100-400 or a 72-2.8. It's just so much better. Not that those other lenses are bad; they're not. They're great. But this thing is like a turbocharged, sort of a supercharged, all of a sudden, autofocus system, and it's just a pleasure to work with.